whether we're in a political season or whether we're out of a political season, Lynn DeSanto, I think you would agree that some things never change. Political posturing just seems like an endless routine for some of these leaders, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yes, it does.
One of the things that strikes me is that if we look back to the founding of our country, really the principles that guided the success of this nation was a foundation of faith and freedom. I think you share the idea that we have to return to those principles.
I would agree with you, Gordon. I think that our forefathers, the whole concept behind America and what it was built on was based on their faith and the belief that freedom is very important to the health of a country.
In reality, I don't think you can separate those two things, because if we turn from faith, we lose our freedoms. Even if you go back into ancient biblical times, you see that when the children of Israel departed from God, they were delivered into bondage. Mm-hmm. Where is America today?
Well, I think as America and Americans walk further away from the faith that this country was founded on, the government therefore responds by more restrictions, taking our freedoms away, and trying to mandate people and their behavior more and more.
It's like filling a glass with water. The more water you put in, the less air there's room for. So in other words, something's going to fill that void. And if we want a glass full of principles based on faith, then it removes government programs, the need for government to step in. But as we remove the water, the faith and the principles of freedom, as we remove that, the oxygen of government is going to fill the rest of that glass. And that's what we see happening today, isn't it?
I completely agree with you. And it's really quite a sad situation for our country. And until we return to the faith that this country was founded on, I believe we will continue to have increased government and people that don't understand really the history of this country and what made our country so great.
You know, there's a word that comes to my mind this morning, and the word is tolerance. And really, what we've seen is a new definition of the word tolerance. Now, tolerance means anything that is in opposition to the faith, the Judeo-Christian faith. Mm-hmm. If you believe that the Bible is God's rule book, God's love letter to mankind, and that we should follow those dictates, suddenly you are defined as intolerant.
That is so true. And actually, some of the most intolerant people I have ever met are people that are preaching tolerance so often to the right. And so I have found that interesting when I engage in a conversation with someone on various issues and they continue to say that I'm not showing tolerance when they're not open to hearing the other side of the coin at all. So
yeah, because their intolerance demonstrates that when they assail you for not being tolerant, it's really not tolerance that's the issue. They've redefined the term. Mm-hmm. Now they say, if you are Christian, you are not tolerant. So it's a way through the back door to assault our foundation in this country, that foundation of faith and freedom.
Mm-hmm. I agree, Gordon. And truly, I just believe that in our country at this time, more than ever, with so many of the serious situations we're facing around the world, now is the time that we need to really come back to that faith and remember what America was built on and why are we here? What is the purpose of America, the greatest country on earth? Where would the world be if it were not for America and the principles that it was founded on? The world would look much different.
Well, and it's becoming a world that looks very different, isn't it?
It definitely is, absolutely. I just heard lately that no longer is America considered a superpower by the other countries because of the fact that we have walked away from our faith, and therefore many people see that we have lost our status in the world.
We not only lose our status, but we lose our bearings, because really America still is one nation under God. We've turned away from that to some degree, and our president declared that we're not a Christian nation. But my prayer is that we return to that foundation of faith and freedom.